check, 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 chop it down, check, 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 chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
There we go again, man. It's funky. Stream, y'all need to get this act together, man. But welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast, brought to you by Hogs Haven, SB Nation's Hogs Haven. I am your host, Mual Jamal Forge, Hen Dog Maul, Coach Maul, in here on. Is there such thing as the eve of, I mean, I guess the eve of 4th of July. I don't know. I guess that's the day we're recording it. But I've never said the eve of 4th of July. Anyway, in here with Dre and AJ, the fellas are in here once again. Good evening, fellas. I know. How about this? What do y'all got? What's y'all plans for tomorrow, man? Are y'all on the? Well, I know what AJ got going on. So maybe he's taking a couple drinks, kicking his feet up at a beach. You know what I'm saying? Looking at some eye candy, I guess. Dre, what you got going on your side of things, bro? In the States.
Shit, man. We going to
the shade.
Hey, we jealous, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, we
hell yeah, I'm jealous, bro.
Hey, we doing the regular little American thing, tomorrow. Throw some shit on the grill, you know what I'm saying? Maybe go watch some fireworks somewhere. Nothing too big, regular little stuff. We ain't in the Caribbean islands like some people, you know what I'm saying?
You doing the burgers and dogs, or are you doing a little bit more than that?
Man, my sister said she got some shit up in there, so I'm gonna see what she got. She gonna throw it on the ground. I know they're gonna have burgers and dogs, but I think they might have some chicken. So whatever they got, we digging in. So
Bruh, I went to a halfway celebration for a baby. I still to this day I don't know what to call it, but it's like a halfway. Bruh, I never heard of it until yesterday. It's so like the 6-month thing. And so I guess it was like at the end of the day, it was real live, just a reason for adults to come up and just turn up, bro. Because I'm like, what are these kids? They brought the babies by, they brought the kids by. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are they going to do? Like, what are we doing here at 6 months? They just brought the kids by while we had tequila and hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff like that. But I brought it up because, bro, I was hungry yesterday, but then I seen they put this thing on the grill, bruh. I want to say it was like a half smoke, but it looked bigger than a half smoke, bro. They said it was a beef hot dog. I looked at that junk, bro. It was like 4 times the size of a regular hot dog. I said, ain't no way in hell somebody gonna look at this and say they want to eat that, bro. And like half the people in the crib lined up for that damn mega hot dog. And I'm like, y'all lucky ain't nobody around my age here. Y'all lucky that nobody cares about these hot dogs because y'all are disrespectful right now.
And the pictures.
They wanted that meat.
Exactly.
Well, R. Kelly say, put the camera on me.
Put the camera on me, bro. Like that. I couldn't believe it. I looked at that, John. I was like, look, I'll take a regular hot dog, but only reason why I even took a hot dog is I was like, I know nobody over here they're not gonna ban on me for having a hot dog, bro. I can take a regular joint, be cool with that. But yeah, bro, six month celebrations, man. New thing that I got introduced to, bro. The tequila was good though. Tequila and card games, bro.
Hey, now people really be on some nut shit with that. Like, I actually just a girl just got mad at me maybe a couple weeks ago, like a family friend. She was like, yeah, it's about to be my baby's 18th. My baby's turning 18 months. I'm like, your baby is 1 year old and he's about to be 2. Why are you talking about 18 months? Like, I was just like, this child is just grow up.
1 or he's 2. It's one or the other.
I'm like 18 months. Like, come on, son. She got so mad at me. I'm like, bro, that's not even a real thing. Like, y'all just bored.
My mom she's still getting used to the idea of gender reveals. She's like, she'd never even heard, like, growing up, she's like, she's never heard of a gender reveal until like the recent, like the 2010s and or maybe even mid 2000s or something like that. But she's like, she's never even heard of gender reveals, let alone like making it such a big deal on like social media and stuff like that. Like she's never seen events like that before.
Right.
Some of the stuff is just new, bro, and it
I'll
throws me off.
never do a gender. I've never done one, and I don't think I'll ever do a gender reveal. Like, I mean, that's like when you said the 6-month thing. First thing that went in my mind is, oh no, here go a new thing they about to come up with just to get together. I mean, it's cool, you know. People want to get together, have fun. I mean, you know. But if you want me to come out and drink, just say that. I'll come out and drink. I don't need to go. Right. You know.
I mean, I feel like it's nasty work because like not everyone is able to have a healthy child or have a child in general. So to be having like gender reveals, like, and people really be upset when it don't go their way. Like if it's not, if they want a boy that ends up being a girl, like they show that displeasure on their face. It's like, bro, just be thankful that you're even in a position to have a child and just pray that it's healthy. Like, I don't know. I already know whenever it comes time for me to have a kid, I'm probably go through hell back and forth with chick. Cause I really don't agree with that. I just want a healthy baby, like boy or girl. Like it don't matter, man. But I feel like back in the day, like people used to just have their baby and bring it home and didn't prepare for the sex or anything for real. Like they just
or they'll do it, or they'll get the sex at the doctor. Like just ask them, they'll get it there.
But you know, it's social media. See, AJ, if you don't want to go through that, you got to find a girl with no social media. It's the ones that love the social media that want everybody to, you know, see what they're doing. Look at this great 1% of my life right here. You know.
Yeah, that's crazy, but hey.
Hey, well, I guess let's go ahead and chop it up on the main topic in this episode. Everybody, before we get further involved, if you haven't already and you're watching, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're listening through your favorite audio platform, and if you haven't followed or subscribed, make sure you do that. Leave us with a rating and review, man. We definitely appreciate that as well. Obviously, the position group breakdowns have been flowing throughout this offseason over the past few weeks. So if you haven't caught up on the other position groups, go ahead and check that out, man, and check out the YouTube series of the film sessions. Eric Bieniemy, Cole Turner. By the time you get this, Cole Turner is already out, but KJ Henry's up next. Eric Bieniemy and who was the other person? Oh, Ricky Stromberg. Ricky Stromberg on the way as well next week. So go ahead and take a look at that on the Trapper Dive YouTube channel. Linebackers, the LBs is up right now, man, on this episode. And fellas, I remember something that we asked when we did tight ends. And one of the questions that we asked is that the weakest position on the team? And we had, I think, one yes, maybe two. I don't remember. But linebacker was a close second, without a shadow of a doubt, I would assume, for all of us, if we didn't have linebackers number one. And I would hand the floor over to you all right now in terms of an overall grade, and then we can go player by player, mainly the top, the key players. We don't have to dive deep into the depth chart here, but overall grade with this unit is what? And I'll start with one comment before you all give your grades. David Mayo, nothing to do with, there's no disrespect to him, but like one of their key re-signings, and I'm talking about according to the team, I'm not saying this is how we view it, but for them, one of their key re-signings was bringing David Mayo back to this team. And it was weird to see that they clung on to him so quickly after the season was over, as opposed to really doing some homework on some other options out there. I understand what David Mayo does for them in the run game. No disrespect to, like, he's a solid run defender. But it kind of confused me to how quickly they were able to re-sign him versus like taking their time and doing their due diligence on a position group that I believe, and I would assume that they believe, was pretty weak comparatively speaking to other units on the team. But fellas, the floor is yours. Where are you at in terms of a grade for this position group? Excuse me.
I mean, I think when it comes down to position group and a grade, you almost kind of got to give them a D. Like, I just don't think that overall they have depth there. We really don't know what we're getting from the position at all. If anything, your first round pick from a couple years ago, Jamin Davis, hasn't necessarily lived up to being a first round pick yet. He showed some progression last year, but the bar was set so low from the rookie year performance and what he was supposed to do. And now you come into this 2023 season and you necessarily don't upgrade the position, whether it be in free agency or the draft, or really address it at all. You essentially sign a guy who's trying to break through in the league and really get his footing in Cody Barton to replace a Cole Holcomb. It's just one of those cases where it's up in the air, and you're hearing that even the guy that they brought in and told he was going to run the middle linebacking situation and wear the green dye, and Cody Barton didn't really have number one snaps with the first team in OTAs or minicamp. You're hearing more so about a guy that's been on the team for maybe 3-4 years. I'm not quite sure. And Kaleki Hudson, that's stepping up and looking great. I don't really know how to take that. I mean, it'd be kind of weird for me for this guy to now possibly put himself in position to be the starter going into year 4 of his career. But yeah, it's just in shambles. Like, you really don't know what you're getting at all. And even during this OTAs and minicamp process, Jamin Davis has been hurt. He's been recovering. So going into the season, like I said, you have no clue what you're getting. I think a fair grade is a D for right now. Maybe that could change, or maybe it could change for the worse. I didn't even talk about David Mayo still on the team.
Yeah, that's what Mual was just talking about.
I just mentioned him. That was one of their key re-signings in the offseason.
So when you bring back a guy like a David Mayo as well, you're already telling me where we headed with this, because I don't believe he should be on any NFL roster as a contributor, playing snaps or rotating with anyone. It's just been abysmal as far as their addressing and fixture of the linebacking room.
I mean, I have to agree with AJ on, the grade, especially. You got to give him a D. And it's something that, we may look back at when the Ron Rivera era is over and say, this is one of the things that did him in, which is very ironic because he played linebacker. Jack Del Rio played linebacker. And this isn't the only year this has been a question mark. This has literally been a question mark the whole era of these guys. And it seems like it was never an urgency to really upgrade outside of them drafting Jamin Davis in round 1. But when we drafted in round 1 in, the second year of the Ron Rivera era, he never looked ready. I mean, there was always talk that, maybe he has potential, but he never really, took that leap. But he showed flashes here and there, and you kind of hope he is going to take that leap. I mean, we've heard from a couple of guys. We talked to Kevin Sheehan on the podcast. Sheehan's kind of been raving about him, saying he's going to take the leap this year. So you do hope that that's the hope. And you maybe wonder if that's why they haven't really upgraded it, because they're seeing something in Jamin that the fans haven't seen yet. And then as AJ mentioned, you got Kaleki Hudson. I mean, that guy, a lot of people have been talking him up this offseason. I mean, his name and Logan Thomas' name with the tight ends are two names I've constantly heard as guys who are, to be watched this upcoming season. And obviously we've heard Cody Barton, the guy who they signed from Seattle. He's been running with the twos because Kaleki Hudson's starting. And Kaleki Hudson, his ascension didn't just start with, this offseason. I mean, I think it kind of went back to the Dallas game last year. He had a really solid game in that Dallas game which I maybe turned the coaches' heads. Maybe he's the Sam Howell of the defense, because like I said, this guy's been here a couple of years. He's never been able to really break through on the field. He's been more of a special teams guy here, but now they're kind of talking him up as, oh, this guy may be a key player on the defense. He may start. And, you know, when he came out of Michigan, I always thought that he was more of a tweener type. I didn't know if he had a specific position on the defense, but I knew he had that sideline to sideline speed. And that seems like something they covet on, you know, with this regime. They covet the speed. I mean, even Cody Barton has good speed. I mean, Jamin Davis has speed. But we want to know if these guys can play, because this unit, this linebacker unit, is right now obviously the weakest link on the defense by a mile, because you're obviously setting the defensive line. You love the defensive line. You like what you got in the secondary, but then you have that linebacker unit, and you wonder if that's the unit that can kind of bring this thing to a collapse on the defense. And we've wondered about that for the last few years.
Hey, Jerry, when you know what just threw me off for like 10 seconds, bro, I got stunned. When you said covet, were you saying like covet?
Yeah, covet. Yeah, covet. Yeah, not Corvette. I don't know, man.
I said covet. I was about to say, hey, I was about to cut you up like, Adrian, what's covet, bro? What does that mean? And then I said, oh, covet. I'm like, bruh, I'm over here thrown off. Like, I got distracted. I didn't even hear the 10 seconds that I got.
Tomato thing with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people say tomato, I say tomato. You know, Quebec.
That was hilarious, man. Look, man. So I'm in the same boat in terms of grades. I don't think you can really put it this way. If you want to be really fair, you're listening to this, watching this. If you want to be really fair with the linebacking group, and you really believe in a Jamin Davis, and you think that Cody Barton can be good here, or even Khaleke Hudson can take the next step, I don't think you can give a grade any higher than a C+ as it stands right now. Because there are several players that you're waiting to see break through. I'm just going to give it like I'll give it a D+. Like, that's where I'm at. I'll give it a D+. And I think the reason, when you look at, first off, it is important to kind of start off, for me at least, with Cody. I know one of the conversations with Cody surrounding Cody Barton is actually stemming, and these are reports from people who are talking with the team. Like his reasoning, or their reasoning for him not being with the ones in absence or replace of Jamin Davis, was that he is still learning the playbook. And I don't know, like, to what degree he's behind, or if he's like actually struggling, or they're just saying they want him to take his time and learn it. I don't know the distinction. But I think that should also be known for Cody, is that they want him to take his time to learn the playbook. And therefore, you have a guy in Khaleke, or even if David Mayo was to be with the ones in absence or in replace of Jamin Davis, you got people who have been on this defense for years who can be the one, while Cody comes along with the 2s or 3s or wherever they got him. So in terms of Cody, I don't know what to expect from him, like, full on. This is a guy who is getting an opportunity, in the same sense that you look at Cole Holcomb in Pittsburgh, who moved on from here in Washington, who's getting an opportunity, like, essentially on a 1-year deal. Like, you're just swapping one out with the other. Both are athletic linebackers, Cody and Cole Holcomb was, but you don't really have a full profile here in Washington on who Cody can be for the Commanders. So it is interesting that they let Cole Holcomb go in that same aspect. He was a guy, Cole was, who did find ways. That's not even fair. I'm not going to say it like that. Cole was, he got bit by the injury bug several times throughout his career here in Washington. And that can contribute, especially in your final year in Washington. That can contribute to somebody, specifically a regime or front office, not necessarily valuing you in the way in which you think that they should. And it's easier to move on from you. So insert Cody Barton, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So we give that a question mark. Jamin Davis is a guy who I thought had a really solid year, comparatively speaking, to his rookie season. He had a pretty solid year in year 2 for Washington. And I think it's interesting to see how Jamin develops, because when you look at his situation going into year 3 in the same system, I think a person like that, like, loves loves knowing what he knows. And I don't know if that makes sense right now, but what I'm saying, like when he has like something off the back of his hand, he just continue, like his athleticism stands out, his playmaking ability. If he can showcase he's a playmaker, or a game changer at linebacker. I'm not saying that he is that right now, but I think that's who he is in terms of like knowing something. Once he continues to believe in something, once he knows something off the back of his hand, he's playing faster. And I think that's what that second year showed glimpses of. And if you're going into your third year in that same system, in a with a coordinator who is really valuing you, because that second year they gave him that green dot, like they gave him that opportunity to lead for a good portion of the season. But I think that's kind of what you see in your year 3 with Jamin Davis is like, does he take that next step? Because the defensive coaches, specifically Del Rio, has started to show faith in him. It wasn't pretty at first because they called him out after that, game 2 or maybe that first game, one of those very early in the season, they called him out. And things took a turn for the better right after that. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jamin Davis performs. And Khaleke Hudson is the guy I'll pause on right now, and we can have a conversation further on Khaleke. AJ already mentioned, and even in Dre as well, but AJ mentioned, they were high on Khaleke, and he wasn't sure like to what degree he buys that. I think that's an interesting or a pretty good comment, because I'll say this. I don't think it's the reporter's fault. I don't think it's people who watch practice. I don't think it's their fault either, or people who get information that aren't reporters or who aren't at practice and just get texts or comments or something about people through mini camps or practices, OTA practices. But I think like the level of hype in a player who was seemingly dormant in terms of the conversation surrounding his name, I think that is like one of the more dangerous conversations, because I think it's people who want to be the I told you, not even the I told you shows, the want to be the ones who had the first conversation centered around this player, and therefore it continues to build up when you haven't really had a substantive practice to really validate your thoughts on a player. You haven't had a scrimmage. You haven't had an exhibition. You haven't had several practices that really matter, like when bullets are somewhat flying live. And Khaleke is in a situation where we've seen him for, I think this is his third year, if not fourth year. We've seen him have some starts with Washington, and things weren't that good. And obviously things may click for the better for Khaleke, so I'm not necessarily turning him down completely. But I think it's important to know, like, when you have much more reps and you're talking about 50, 60 reps in a game, snaps in a game on defense, can you sit here and say that those 10 minicamp reps that you were clamoring him like growing in a defense really mattered? I don't know. I don't think you can. And I like the idea of what Khaleke can do for your defense. Being able to, offload the pressure on Cam Curl to really play in the box 1,000 times, and you can maybe even use Khaleke as your blitz guy, like AJ mentioned. He wanted Jamin to do a little bit more, but maybe Khaleke can do it. I like the idea of what Khaleke can do, but I can't sit here and say that everything that we're hearing about him right now is enough to convince me that he didn't turn the corner. This is a guy that's been on this roster for 3 years now, and we need to see something like ASAP when training camp starts.
Mo, I was just going to mention, with you speaking about Cody Barton and hopefully he takes over the reps. I think that from a fan standpoint, that best case scenario is Cody Barton's running with the twos because Khaleke Hudson is taking that leap. And the reason I say that is because Cody Barton is a guy they went in free agency and they went out and signed him. So obviously when they went out and signed him, they had envisioned him being a starter. And usually guys, when they go out in free agency and they want to kind of put those guys in position to start right away. So the only reason you would think that this guy, or you at least that you will hope that this guy isn't started, is not because he's not getting it, but because the guy behind him or the guy that they're putting ahead of him is just looking that much better. I mean, that's just best case scenario for the fan base and the defense as a whole. If Khalid Hudson is really out here looking like a stud or whoever they think this guy might be, because right now we don't have a stud amongst this linebacking core. I mean, obviously you hope Jamin Davis is that guy. We've been hoping Jamin Davis has been that guy for the last 2 years. I mean, this is year 3 for Jamin Davis, so this is supposed to be the year at least that Jamin Davis shows that, NFL capability that every down starting linebacker guy, the guy you can't take off the field. Like, you want Jamin Davis to be that because you don't want the optics to look bad as a bust. But if Khalid Hudson is getting first snaps, like I said, best case scenario is that he is really out there doing it. But again, I'm with you on the fact that I don't know. I don't know if he's consistently going to be that guy. And we can't say for sure right now if he is that guy because we just haven't seen enough of him. We've only really seen him on special teams. But if he is out there doing it, I do hope it's a scenario where he is just looking much better, and not to say that they're kind of slow walking Cody Barton, because that's just not good, especially. But if Cody Barton is looking like the guy they thought he was, and Khalid is playing over top of him, because Khalid is looking that much better, then your linebacker depth just got a lot better, because Cody Barton is right there waiting in the wings. I mean, injuries happen. Who knows when he's going to need to get on the field? But I mean, we've only seen them really play 2 linebackers the last couple of years. They don't really put a lot of linebackers on the field. It's not like a traditional 4-3 defense anymore. It's more of that, more like 5 defensive backs, 2 linebackers, and maybe 4 to 3 defensive end, whatever. But they don't play a lot of linebackers on the field. So you got to assume the 2 best guys are going to play. And if right now the 2 best guys are Khalid Hudson and Jamin Davis, so be it. But you hope, like I said, it's a situation where it's not like Cody Barton is out there looking like an Adam Archuleta or something where he's just a bust, or a free agency bust signing. Not to say that we spent a lot of money on him, but you signed him with the hopes of starting him. But if he's not starting again, I just hope it's because Khalid is just looking that much better and he's ready to finally show what he can do in the defense at that position.
Yeah, man. I think we'll learn a lot come training camp, because even in OTAs and mini camps, they weren't running the ball. That's pretty much when they're pretty much just passing across the league. Like in these OTAs and mini camps, it's just passing primarily. But I think if Cody Barton is not starting week 1, we got to put some fire under Ron Rivera's ass even more. Because it's like, you can't be bringing in guys and selling them the opportunity to start and also telling the fan base that you brought this person in to start and be the middle linebacker. You feel me? And that person can't achieve that going into your regular season. It's like, what was the purpose of bringing in this guy? And then on top of that, what's going on with you guys missing on players so poorly in free agency? Because at the end of the day, there were some middle linebackers out there on the market, and I think Bobby Wagner is still unsigned, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, he went back to Seattle.
Sure. Oh, he went back.
Bobby went back to Seattle.
But yeah, so I mean, Bobby went and filled in for Cody. Seattle also got Devin Bush from the Steelers. I'm not sure where Miles Jack ended up going, but there's still some backers out there on the market that is available. And if you went after Cody Barton and he doesn't end up starting, we got big issues. But, be intrigued to see how it all plays out in training camp, because I'm not quite sure what some of these people were raving about with Hudson in OTAs and mini camps that they didn't see from him during the past 3 other years. You feel me? Like, I'm just, is it opportunity or what? Because I'm kind of confused.
Well, I mean, like I said, apparently he looked good at the end of last season. A lot of people were talking about Khalid. I mean, again, like I said, if it's a situation where Khalid has really taken some kind of leap that none of us have really seen, consistently, then I'm fine with it because that means, hey, it wasn't that Cody Barton was so bad that he couldn't start. Now you just look at him and, hey, he's an extra depth piece and the position group is better. Because, I mean, since Ron Rivera and them has been here, that position group has been ass. I mean, it's just been by far pretty much the worst position group on the team just about every year. I mean, last year you still had Bostic on the team and he was playing meaningful snaps. I mean, Cole Holcomb, I mean, he was just average at best, and Jamin was still finding his way. But if this year you're talking about you get a Jamin Davis who's ready to finally look like an NFL linebacker on a game by game basis, you got Khalil Hudson who turns into a formidable starting linebacker, and then you got depth with Cody Barton that you didn't have in years past. So, I mean, then you're talking about an upgraded position group. But this is all hearsay right now. Right now, it's kind of like how we talk about the tight end group, and that it's an incomplete group. Like we don't know enough to verify or vouch for any of these guys. But at the end of the day, if, like I said, Khalil Hudson turns out to be better than everyone thought he is, and Jamin Davis takes a leap, then this is all moot, and you have depth. And, we're not going to fire Ron Rivera into the sun for signing Cody Barton because, hey, the linebacker position as a group got better. But, hey, we got to wait and see.
Let me ask this one question. This is it for me on this position group. If this unit is above average, right? To go with the rest of this defensive line and secondary, are we talking about like again, we're talking about, we acknowledge the I don't knows, right, on this unit. But if it turns out at the end of the season that this is an above average position group, obviously with the key players that we're talking about, is this a well constructed defense after 4 seasons of Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio in Washington? That defensive line is solid. It's top heavy, I think. Okay, depth pieces. I really like the defense, the interior depth pieces I really like. But the front four is solid. I lied. They're real good. They're good. But then you got your secondary, who was a question mark before this all season started, but you shored it up with adding 2 key pieces with these guys, and you got depth at secondary. But your starters are good. If they're above average with that linebacker group, that second level, is this a well-constructed defense after 4 years of Ron Rivera in Washington?
It's a top 3 defense if it's a above average unit, because they've been below average at best in the Ron Rivera, era. And if you're talking about you going up 2 notches, you're going past average to above average. I mean, I don't think you finish any lower than top 3, because that's pretty much been the missing piece on this defense. Because we talk about the defensive line, it's that second level. That second level in the defense has been missing, whether it be a pass coverage or just filling the gaps in the run game. It just hasn't really been there consistently in the Ron Rivera era. But again, if you're getting an above average group, I'm at least top 3 defense, if not the best defense in the NFL, in my opinion.
Okay. AJ, what you thinking? Because I'm going to go anyway. I agree. No, I lied. I think it's top 5 for sure. I think it's a solid, a legitimate top 5. And what I mean by that is, I think that this secondary is already good enough. In terms of, even on paper, and I will say this, I think we're going to see much more turnovers from the front end and the back end, from the pressure they can create and maybe even get home finally, because you have you have good visual cornerbacks in the secondary, and people that can match well with a lot of different receiver types. I do think that the turnovers are going to increase. But I think this is a legitimate top 5 defense from that standpoint, from a yardage standpoint, but also being able to force turnovers as well if you have an above average linebacking group, because that includes being able to stop the run, but also cover as well. And that's what they really struggled in specifically. They were an aggressive unit. The linebackers were They bid a lot on play action. They didn't give a damn about if the ball went behind them or not. But like that unit, if they're above average, I'm saying top 5 is really good. I don't think it's really no different than yours, Dre, but I think top 3 is talking about an elite unit. And I'm not really sure that I can go elite yet. But I think top 5 is, I mean, is top 5 elite? If it is, and I'm tripping,
yeah.
and I guess I'm about to say if it is, and I'm tripping, and out.
Yeah.
You're talking about top 5 defense or positional group?
Defense.
No, top 5 defense. No, above average ain't top 5.
Yeah,
elite for the linebackers.
Top 10 is an elite defense, in my opinion.
Top 10? Okay.
No, top 7.
Okay.
Top 7.
All right, well, F it. I think we went with top 5 then. So I guess they are an elite unit, and I'm tripping. So they're an elite. They're an elite unit. Top 5.
Maul, did you hear what Dre said? He said top 7. He's tweaking.
No, I thought you said top 7. That's what I was saying because I thought
top 7. What the hell is a top 7?
I thought you said no. I say top 5.
Name your top 7 rappers. Like what?
No, I'm top 5. Top 5 is elite, and then everything after that. Well, top 5 to 10. Well, 6 to 10 is probably that above average to really good defenses.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this defense has enough players to possibly be a top 5 defense. But I'm going to stay consistent with it. I really don't believe in the defensive play caller and Jack Del Rio. And then I still want to see them turn over the ball. I feel like what top defenses typically do is create turnovers. Like, I may not know all the statistics off head, but I'm pretty damn sure that the 49ers, the Eagles, and whoever else we deemed to have been a top 5 defense in the league last year created a lot of turnovers, whether it be fumbles, interceptions, whatever. And I think that they also feel the same way, that they need to create more turnovers. That's why they invested the first-round pick in a ball hawk of Emmanuel Forbes.
Well, AJ, Jamal wanted to know if the linebacker unit is above average. Where is this defense ranked if they are an above average unit? Because they haven't been an above average.
Specifically, I let it rock, but I was specifically saying, can we say that he constructed can Ron Rivera and Del Rio constructed I don't even remember the question no more.
That's my fault. My service went in and out, so I guess I caught the tail. And I still think they a D overall positional group, so I don't feel like they can necessarily overcome that linebacker play. I just
no. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead. I'm saying right now, if they end up becoming at the end of the season, if they turn out to be an above average linebacker group, that is the question in terms of like where this thing got watered down. But I'm saying, like, if they end up becoming a top 5, like we have our question marks right now, but at season's end, if they turn out to be above average with everything that they have on that offense, on that defense from the first and third levels, like what does this defense end up looking like? Is this a well constructed defense over a 4-year period with Ron Rivera? Like that's kind of where the basis of my question was.
What does a top 5 linebacking corps look like in the league?
We're not saying we're not talking about top 5 linebacker corps. We talk about the overall defense. I'm saying above average. If this unit right now a D is failing. Like, it is what it is. That's below average. That's poor. The position group, if they turn out to be above average, like here and there, they don't make some plays, or they get schemed up on, but 6 times out of 10 or 7 times out of 10, they're good enough to win with. Like, that's kind of the distinction or definition of the above average in this conversation.
Yeah, I might be tweaking because I don't know what you're talking about right now. Because I swear I thought I answered overall defense, and then I was told that we talk about the linebackers.
Well, we're talking about the linebackers in terms of how if they are an above average linebacking group, which none of us really expect right now, how do we view how Ron Rivera has constructed this unit, the defense as a whole, because of what the linebackers became, if they became above average? Do we now say, hey, man, they constructed a damn good defense because these linebackers became above average? Like, how do we view the defense as a whole if these linebackers are above average? That's hypothetically speaking.
I guess I'll just make it easy on us because I'm all over the place right now. And I'll just say, either way, Ron, you got to go. No matter if they elite or above average, he got to go no matter what.
Damn. Tough crowd, man.
All right. Yep, that's gonna go ahead and that's it for us. Appreciate everybody who listened and watched. We're gonna go ahead and keep the train rolling, man. We'll be back with the quarterback position group breakdown with Linnell Willingham, 106.7 The Fan. And then after that, man, we are back in training camp. So y'all take it easy. Enjoy y'all weekend. Enjoy y'all 4th as well. When you listening to this, I'll be out here. Peace.
Damn, set, hut, watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.